No, he has been there very consistently since those early days in the top level. And people who were surprised at one point that he did rise into the presidential position could just have tracked his systematic progression in the top six, always moving to higher positions in that top six. And it was really confirmation of that rise that he became president. And then he managed to hang on for 2 terms in that. And so his power is probably more entrenched than anything we can imagine in the ANC, having been in those top positions for such a long time. But then, as you noted, his time is coming to the end in these top structures of the ANC. And as president of the ANC, hasn't given any indication that he intends continuing as ANC president, because we know, of course, in terms of the 2007 Polokwane resolution, which they said preferably there shouldn't be a third term, but it is possible. But he has clearly given all indications that he intends handing over, and maybe handing over there is a key word, because he is really making a strong point of South Africa being ready for a woman president, we say that, and we know because of the closeness of Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma to him, we know where his support is, and we see the same constituencies as those who support him to remain in power are also the constituencies, the enclaves in the ANC who will be supporting her.
Now, what do you think in his time within the ANC when President Zuma does in fact leave at the end of the year? What would be the one legacy that Jacob Zuma has left behind within the structure, and this is the national structure of the ANC?
Well, I'm afraid my impression, if I say one legacy in the structures of the ANC, more broadly speaking like that, would unfortunately not be a brilliant one, because he will be associated with the era of disrepute and corruption that have come to characterize the ANC in government. And he will be associated with this period probably as a reaction to that people have started either turning against the ANC, voters, supporters, or where they have just withdrawn and, for example, not voted. So he will also be associated with that period in which the ANC really declined electorally to a large extent.
Now, this is perhaps what we can call the beginning of a new dawn or a new era for the party. How do you think that era will now be shaped?
Yeah, it is very difficult at this stage to say what the post-Zuma era will look like. It might not be a new dawn at all. It could be that people who are very close to him retain power. It could be that people who are in age younger than him, one can see as a new generation, but really come with solid adherence to him and trying to rebuild his legacy even after he's left. It could be that young new leaders actually do not bring in a new dawn. But then on the other hand, if we see the ANC really at a forum like this conference cut back deeply and say, as Will's president also said in his own speech now, things have not gone well, let's step back and take stock and find the solutions. If people are really going in and are given the space to do that, then possibly there can be a new ANC that arises out of it. But that remains to be seen, whether they will be given the space and whether they will feel free enough to take that step back and say, let's start over.